Irma and trees. Well, we're getting calls about trees that have fallen. Either your tree has fallen on your neighbor's property or your neighbor's tree has fallen on your property. And the question is, who's responsible for the damage or the cleanup of the debris of a tree that's fallen on your property? Well, the answer is that you are responsible for taking care of the cleanup and as far as a tree falling on your property, whether it's your tree or your neighbor's tree, since it is caused by an act of God. Your neighbor is not negligent as a result of Hurricane Irma or possibly Hurricane Marie or any other hurricane or natural disaster coming through, just a small tornado or any other storm that comes through. The damage is caused as a result of an act of nature or an act of God, and therefore they are not negligent and not responsible for the damage that the tree has caused to your property, and you're not responsible for any damage that your tree fell on your neighbor's property. So the unfortunate part of it is if the tree falls on your property or even hangs over your property line, looks like it's about to fall on some of your property, well, you are stuck with having to clean the thing up, particularly with these giant oak trees that can run into thousands of dollars with tree surgeons and hauling out great big oak trees and having to use certain care so it doesn't damage any more property. So the cleanup of debris is a particular problem, but your neighbor is not liable for it. Now, if the tree falls on your house or damages your property, well, then what? Well, you need to call your insurance company, and unfortunately, this is going to be under your policy. Most of them have a hurricane deductible of anywhere from 3 to 5%, depending on, look at your policy, and that there's a deductible before they would pick up the damage. So unless it's catastrophic, your deductible is probably going to be more than what it's going to cost to fix the damage or to remove the tree, depending on the extent of the damage. There is one exception to the tree falling on your property by your neighbor's tree. That is if he was negligent as far as maintaining the tree. If it was a rotted tree, it's been sitting there, and you talked to him about it or warned him about it and said he needs to take care of it, and then if he was negligent in maintaining the tree, well, then you could possibly have some cause of action against him for these damages. I've been contacted in the past about a rotted tree on the neighbor's property and the concern, and I've suggested to the person who contacted me that they need to send a letter notifying the neighbor that he would be liable or responsible if that rotted tree fell or caused damage to your property. So that's the exception to the not being liable if it's an act of God, if the neighbor was negligent or you put him on notice that he needed to attend to the matter. Also, a lot of times, not with hurricanes necessarily, but maybe a result of a leaning tree, is that you have the right to trim trees vertical, if they hang over your property line, well, you have the right to trim the tree as of whatever's hanging over your property line. But hopefully you didn't have too much damage, and unfortunately the cost of removing some of these huge oak trees is very expensive, but you're probably not going to be able to hold your tenant, your neighbor responsible since it was an act of God. So hopefully you're safe, and so if you have any questions, I don't propose to be an insurance expert, but That's just a little quip as far as trees and Hurricane Irma. And fortunately, we dodged Hurricane Marie, it looks like. My phone number is 727-847-2288.